Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the We Know Love Island podcast here on RHAP. Today, we will be talking about the first half of week 3 of Love Island USA Season 7, otherwise known as Hurricane Huda, otherwise known as the recoupling that shook the world. Y'all were demanding the coverage, and we are finally here. I'm, of course, Kirsten MacInnis, joined as always by the wonderful Brian Scally. Scally, how are you?
Hello. And can I just say, Jinkies, what a stretch of episodes we
Not
got.
Jinkies.
Gee, I'm sorry, Jeremiah reintroduced it to the lexicon. I am ready to talk about all of the drama, aka Huda and Jeremiah, but also lots of other things that went on. I feel like these people were clocking in for these 3 episodes, and so I am so thankful. We wanted to jump in and do an emergency pod, felt like we need the full story, and I think these 3 episodes are a era of Love Island 7 that I am excited to talk about.
It's an entire arc. Just before we get into it, Love Island USA Season 7 is actually at more hours streamed than Love Island Season 6 was at this point in the season. So ding, ding, ding. We love to see that. And also, the We Know Love Island podcast is still holding strong in the top charts for TV and film, but we need you to help us stay there by going to weknowloveisland.com and rating and reviewing us 5 stars. It helps more people find the show, and it helps us stay charting so that, I don't know, maybe Peacock will take us seriously and give us exit press, because we've been asking and they've been saying, we'll let you know, which is a nice way to say no.
They're busy. They're busy. Maybe they're back in Casa Amor. Why would they be? But
no, they're not. Maybe next season.
That's what everyone thinks and everyone is hoping for. Not me, though, because I feel like we have our hands full. I can't take these old Islanders back. I need to be moving on to bigger and better things and moving past some of these people even.
Onward and upward. Hell yes. So people may not remember, but where we left off on Friday's episode was Hannah and Pepe having that hot and steamy makeout in the cocktail bar. And we start on Sunday with them kind of like rejoining the group. And Nick is like, "Oh, Pepe, you have makeup on your face. How was it?" In front of Charlie.
Charlie is like sitting very close by, but like Austin is definitely within earshot, who jumps up or sprints over to tell Charlie immediately. By the way, which I don't even think Pepe actually had lipstick on his face or anything. It was just Nick like tricking him into confirming that they made out. So
listen,
maybe
I
Nick is
saw
smart.
Stina Nets on Blue Sky called Nick Slutty Tyler Crispin. And it's not a horrible comparison.
I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad about it.
I'm absorbing.
Yeah, it'll take time. Let it sit with you. Let you feel it in your spirit. See how you really feel about it in time. You don't have to say right now. But they immediately are like, "Hannah, you have to tell him that you made out." And she's also like, "That's where I made out with Charlie." It's like, well, why did you make out with Pepe there too then?
Yeah, it seems like maybe they had some conversation of how this is like their room. It's like, this wasn't necessarily the best choice on Hannah's part.
Yeah. And so Hannah goes to Charlie and he's like, "Tell me everything. I have no judgment." She doesn't seem like super into telling him everything at first, but she says, "I want to tell you everything. I did kiss Pepe." And Charlie says, "Oh, he better not be a better kisser than me," which I think is like a great response to this news.
It's cheeky. It's fine. I think that, I mean, what better could you say, I guess, in this moment? And definitely the best thing that he said for a good while in response.
Yeah. And then, he's like, "Well, I'm not going to cry about it. Like, do what you need to do. Thanks for being honest with me." And then he comes to the confessional and he's like, "Well, how am I supposed to be intimate with her after she's kissed another man?" It's like, again, calm down. We're on Love Island. It's fine.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know how, what are we supposed to do? Like be cuddling and be kissy? I know that he just made out with her. So Charlie is radicalized. He is ready and he is on a mission. All of a sudden, he is not doing well with this news. And that leads to Charlie exploring things. He wants to go talk to Iris. He tells Iris about how he's just looking for somebody new. He's, I think some good drama is going down, but Charlie, what's going on here?
It's so strange. Iris also in this conversation says that she has a masculine personality, which I don't really know even what that means. And I think Charlie had a good response of like, "Oh, I was thinking hot girl," but like, okay. And then they start bonding over TV shows they watched as children, and like the first thing Charlie brings up is Billy and Mandy, which I thought was a very strange like.
It's Charlie going, Billy and Mandy, sick. So funny. Like, not what I expected to hear on season 7 of Love Island.
No. Then they talked about Goosebumps, and TBH, Charlie says that the puppet was legitimately scary in Goosebumps, and he's correct.
Oh,
That
yeah, I was
ventriloquist dummy is so scary.
not watching Goosebumps as a kid. My friends would put it on. I'm going to the other room. Thank you. No, I'm not watching.
Period. I'm just waiting for an Are You Afraid of the Dark reference. Is that a Canadian show?
No, it is definitely another show that I found myself hiding from as a child.
The opening credits of that song scared me as a child, let alone the actual episode.
Not confident I could watch it today.
I think you're braver than you believe.
Well,
So Hannah sees Charlie talking to Iris and is immediately like, "Oh, I feel sick. I was honest with him for nothing. Why did I communicate with him? Like, is he going to do this every time someone applies a little bit of pressure? This is so ugly." I'm like, Hannah, you mounted Pepe 6 hours ago and did not care at all about Charlie's feelings in that moment. So I really don't see how that's comparable to having a conversation. But she goes to Charlie because she's mad and she needs to say that she's mad. And she's like, "I handled yesterday really well. I didn't have a chat with someone in front of you, but you were talking to Iris in front of me. Like, I don't want to be in an ego war." Like, hello?
yeah, apparently he was making some flirty comments to Iris while laying in bed with Hannah and like didn't really talk to Hannah all that much. So it's not going super well, but at the same time, at this point, I'm thinking, Hannah, he's getting to know the new bombshell just like you are. Like nothing wrong seems to be going on here. And so, when they make out, I'm like, this shouldn't be a big thing. Little did I know that Charlie was, in fact, fully spiraling because Charlie's next move is to try to open things back up with Amaya.
Insane. He's like, "Yeah, things went so fast with Hannah, but we never really fully explored. Like, are you open to reopening it up?" And I think some context is important for this conversation. From what we've seen on the show to this point, no one has given Amaya the time of day in days in a romantic sense from what we've seen on the show. And so now the first guy to be like, "Oh, do you want to explore things?" is literally doing it to get back at your best friend. Crazy, crazy behavior. And she's like, Hannah's like a close sister to me. If it weren't so serious with you, like maybe I would be open to it, but like I'm not going to do this to Hannah. Sorry. And Charlie's go, "I wouldn't say it's serious with Hannah." Dude.
Yeah. They're like, this seems shaky. He's like, yeah, she's probably upstairs making out with some guy right now. It's like Charlie's clearly saying things out of jealousy and out of anger, and Amaya's clocking that. And so now she is like, I'm getting used, like not necessarily consciously, but definitely actually getting used in this weird flirt war with who she claims is one of her best sisters in here. So
Well, they came in together, right? That normally has some level of bond.
For sure. Look, and I will say, as much as I had that feeling on Amaya where I was like, I don't know, this is like not my person. I still don't know that we would be good friends. But I appreciate Amaya both from her standpoint here, where she stands up for Hannah and knows that she is potentially like punching her ticket home by turning Charlie down, but not wanting to hurt her friend and is willing to sacrifice herself in the game of Love Island for her. And also from the standpoint of she's bringing weird drama at other points. So I'm down.
Yeah, no. I Love Amaya like a sister, honestly. So
Oh,
keep her on
wow.
the show. That's a slight exaggeration. And she also tells Hannah everything. And she's like, Hannah, like the timing of pulling me when Pepe pulled you was really bad. Like, mm-mm.
It was incredibly awkward, just like one of the worst moves that I've seen on Love Island. I do think that in
Yes.
general people should continue getting to know each other, like have fun, but this was so clearly out of spite that it was
Yeah.
incredibly awkward.
Like you can't go from not talking to anyone else in a romantic sense to suddenly asking everyone if they want to explore with you. It's just not genuine and it is weird. But don't worry, everyone. Everything's okay because Hannah apologizes to Charlie, says that she'd been acting rashly, and Mai told me what you did. And Charlie's like, oh, I already knew I fucked up. I just felt like I was losing you. And they reiterate that they feel like best friends, but also have a romantic connection. And Hannah doesn't think anything could possibly be better. And she doesn't want to kiss anyone else. And she promises that she wants him and no one else. And they kiss and make up.
Yeah, she doesn't even want to kiss anyone else. I was like, is she gonna stop exploring? Are we gonna stop playing in challenges? I started getting a little worried around this point. I'm not gonna lie. I do not need happily paired up couples that I'm not personally invested in. So that's where I was like, I was enjoying the drama. How did Hannah go from the quietest person in the world to the most messy person, second messiest person in the villa overnight? And so the threat of getting back the quietest, most least impactful person in the villa did scare me.
Don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. So we're gonna talk about everything up to the recoupling and then do that just to keep it like as clean structurally, just for everyone listening. Who should we talk about next?
All right. I think it is hard to talk about really anyone in this earlier stretch without like that it plays into the recoupling other than Huda and Jeremiah ultimately.
You're not wrong. So Huda and Jeremiah talk about their rough morning, which again, to recap, was about the uncooked pancake, the no protein, the him not helping her cook, even though she specifically asked Taylor to help her cook.
This
And
was such a revelation to find out that she had asked him, and now it is still coming back up.
Insane. And Jeremiah's trying to talk like, hey, do you think that this miscommunication about the pancakes was actually you trying to push me away? And she's like, it's not about the pancakes. It's like, that's what he just said.
Yeah, it's not about the pancakes, it's about the lack of effort, and he's just not understanding. Now, I did take note, or which I'm sure many people did, when Jeremiah tries to be like, look, I really like you. I told Iris, even though we've had a hard time, that I want to keep talking to you. And Huda's reaction is, don't you ever tell anyone else about our problems. And it was like, okay. I mean, Huda was just talking about pretty much all of her problems with all of the women in the villa. We very clearly see later she talks to everyone in the villa.
She is allowed, but no one else is. Those are the rules.
And Jeremiah's response being like, you're so cute. Like,
And Huda's like, oh, you're so toxic. And he's like, you're so scary. And they're saying that as if it's like a compliment. And that's the other thing going into all of this. I have a lot to say about both Huda and Jeremiah as we go through this batch of episodes. They're both toxic as hell.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like one of them is this prisoner who needs to be saved. They love this dynamic. I think she's anxiously attached and he's maybe avoidantly attached, just based on what we've seen on the show. Obviously, I don't know what their relationships are like in real life. That is a combination that often gravitates towards each other, and often they make each other feel really bad all the time because they haven't worked through their attachment issues, and then it results in a shit show, which is what we get moving from here.
Person, don't worry, it couldn't get worse. It's not like they're gonna have sex tonight or anything.
Oh my god. But wait, they did. Because it's so crazy because the next morning, well, no, okay, so at bedtime, Jeremiah's like, you could do what you want until the lights go off. And then we like hear them breathing in the mics. And then we can tell she's on top under the covers. We don't see the full scope of what's happening. But like,
It's a lot. Look, has nothing on Love Island UK2. Like that is
period.
that is a whole other ball game. But it is not. It's definitely more graphic compared to, let's say, when Love Island was on CBS. So we definitely knew
Yes.
what was going on. It is obviously a very small topic of discussion the next morning when Huda's like, I wish I could just tell you what happened. I wish I could just tell you, but let's just say we had sex. I just can't tell you where or when. It's like we all know it was in bed while we were all in the room.
And she doesn't even say like, oh, we had sex. Like someone finally is like, oh, did you guys have sex? Based on her like, I wish I could tell you, but like something happened, but I can't tell you, but something happened. I'm like, okay, did you have sex? And she's like, well, I won't tell you when or how, but it did happen. Great, healthy, super. Like this is the thing too, where like they were in a rocky patch. They were both being toxic. And then they have sex to be like, okay, yeah, reel them back in. This will be like, what could go wrong? It's just like, it's insane. They,
it ends up leading to, can we talk about the challenge?
We have to. And so
I think they necessitate discussion of the challenge here.
They have caused the requirement to talk about it. So the challenge was got wood. The men had to complete a little obstacle. They have to climb up a fake tree, cut off a branch. The branch would have a prompt where they then have to like shoot a boy with powder based on their answer to the prompt. That boy gets to assign a girl for them to complete like the reverse cowboy cowgirl chalking a log thing. Then they choose someone to like make out with on a spinning log, and then they choose a beaver with a girl's name on it, and they get like 20 seconds unseen in the house. Also notable, Paige DeSorbo is here.
Kind of.
Well, did you see the articles about why she wasn't there the whole time?
Yes.
She had a medical emergency while they were filming the challenge. And
was
so
did she
based
really?
Based on what I saw, it was her, but maybe I didn't read the whole article.
So,
but she was not there the whole time.
What I saw was, first of all, they were like, Paige, we're so excited to have you here. Paige, if you don't know Paige DeSorbo, she is famous from Bravo's Summer House, and has been like pretty famous outside of it now at this point. She comes to host and wears suede to Love Island, which I thought was an interesting choice, but apparently they told her that she needed to bring something lumberjack themed, and this was the best she had. So definitely not her first choice, and she's frustrated by that. Apparently it was that damn log roll that people were getting hurt on, and I think you can even see Hannah has like a big bandage on her arm at one point. So I think it was Hannah that got hurt, to my knowledge.
Paige got heat stroke while filming the challenge and had to leave. So the article on E! Online says, it's a long filming day. We started pretty early. And mind you, I had just landed, not even a full 24 hours that I am there. I'm not even acclimated, but I'm fine. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be a diva. Like, I'm doing a job. Halfway through filming, she struggled with the tropical temperatures. The sun starts beating down on me pretty aggressively. I have a high pain tolerance, so if I'm uncomfortable, I'm really waiting for the last second to tell you because I don't want to be a problem. She took a beta blocker to calm her nerves, but continued to feel ill. About an hour and a half in, she was like, oh, real quick, let me take a moment to myself, and she throws up. And then she attempted to power through, but she started swaying, and the producers noticed, and she was like, no, like, I don't feel normal, but I don't want to stop the show that has so graciously asked me to come on. But she sat down and literally passed out, and so she couldn't continue.
Okay, yeah, maybe we don't make our host wear suede in the middle of the hot day.
I'm sorry, why did they not have a wardrobe for a host?
I don't understand that.
What do you mean she had to bring her own lumberjack outfit? Insane.
I don't understand it, especially because Love Island could so easily have made a like bedtime pajama themed challenge where she's literally launching a pajama line and is known for being like a bed bug on the show. So would have seemed to fit a lot more. But no, let's bring in Paige for the lumberjack
Yeah,
challenge.
it was
Sure.
strange. I did like while she was there, she kept saying things like, "We love drama in a shared house," and I'm like, "Okay, girl, like say
They
shared
fed her
house
those
one more
lines.
time."
She was going to deliver those fed lines like it was the last TV appearance she ever had.
um, but so with the Jeremiah and Huda of it all, Austin chooses Jeremiah for the guy who should be axed from the villa,
Yeah, this is
which
where it
is
starts.
crazy.
I feel like it starts becoming clear to Huda and Jeremiah that, like, oh, is it, what is this reason? Is it because people actually have a problem with us, or is it Austin taking the easy way out? Because I do think he's pretty good friends with Jeremiah, but like he's better friends with Charlie, so that seems like an easier way.
Yeah, it's very strange. And then also like Austin picks Huda to go on the um no, Ace puts Huda on the seesaw with Taylor.
Yeah.
Um
Jeremiah himself like puts Huda on the seesaw with
with
Jalen.
Jalen.
So it's just, you look, this challenge is getting messy. They're going to end up going into the shack and making out with someone randomly chosen, which randomly ends up being Alandria almost every single freaking time.
Four to six times it was Alandria. And when uh Jeremiah and Alandria go in, it's supposed to be no one can see you. And they're just
Yep.
making out because it's a challenge and that's
Look,
what you do in a challenge. And Huda is in Tony's spy shack, like looking in to see what they're doing. And she's like, oh my God, they're actually kissing. I can't believe it. And it's like, girl, last challenge you said, make out with him, make it steamy. I won't care. And then this challenge, they do what you literally just said. And now you're like, I can't believe they would do this to me. So you got to decide.
it's like, okay, they're in the challenge. Jeremiah is saying that he's like not going to hold back. He's going to, be himself. He's going to have fun in this. He's going to be doing the challenges. And we've seen Huda say, like, it would be fine. It would be good. And I think that she thinks she's fine with it, but very much the question very quickly turns into like, so how was that? So how'd you enjoy it? Well, you didn't have to do it because Sierra and Taylor just banged on the walls and pretended, but you were really making out with her, huh? That's weird.
Well, and it's also like I can kind of twist my brain to be like, oh, making out behind a closed door where no one can see you is like more insidious than doing it in front of everyone. Like if
That
you
door
want to
came open.
twist the logic to try to, see the thought process, I'm not saying it's logical and makes sense. I'm saying like that's how I would twist it to make a little bit of sense of it.
I do think twisted logic will get us closer to the line of thinking here because it
Yes.
is very interesting, as Jeremiah says, like, you didn't have to see it. You ran across the platform. You were standing all the way on one side and ran over to peek through the door and saw that we were making out. So no, if you didn't want to see it, you didn't have to move over here. I think,
Yeah.
look, if their boundaries are such that they should not be making out during the challenge, then I think that needs to be discussed. And I think it's boring television, and I'm going to be mad at them, but like
Yes.
that's their prerogative. Now, if they are discussing of you should have done it, it would have been fine. Well, then I don't think we should be getting super annoyed about it.
Yeah. Well, and then what makes me laugh and laugh and laugh is they get back to the villa and they're having their girls chat and Huda's like, oh, I don't mind, I'm not even mad. Girl, yes you are. Stop lying.
Yeah, I would say that Huda twists the truth a lot in this stretch of episodes, and I am struggling to figure out whether it's on purpose or not most of the time.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
Is there
um
anyone else from before the challenge that you think has like necessary important updates here?
um I feel like we did not see a lot of Alondria and Taylor before the recoupling. Is there any update on the Ace, Shelley, Austin love triangle that we need to get to before we get to the recoupling?
Like, I just don't think it's that relevant. I think, it's Shelly and Austin. He's like, I'm sick of being in a triangle. Oh, but I like Shelly every time I talk to her. So, like, but as soon as Shelly talks to Ace, it's very clear they have way more chemistry.
Yeah.
So, no, nothing
Yeah.
super important.
And that's really it. Ace is also at this point getting to know Iris a bit, but it doesn't seem like they have any chemistry from the outside looking in.
It was
But
there, but it
like
stopped.
it's not like nothing, but it didn't feel like it could even touch like Ace and Shelley on day one
Yeah,
talking, if that makes
agreed.
sense.
And then Alandria and Taylor, like you said, not much. It does seem to become clear that Alandria is not feeling Jalen as much, saying that
Yeah.
he's like approaching things physical first. And I'm like, he gave you a peck on the cheek, but sure.
He's like last episode, it seemed like she liked that he was making it known that he finds her attractive. And then in this stretch of episodes, suddenly it's, oh, he's physical first. Girl, stop.
Whatever. I don't know. They do peck in this stretch, but like a peck on Love Island. If you're not making out by week 2 of Love Island, like just go home. Like there's no hope for the couple.
You're on the wrong show.
I just don't know what's going on. I feel like that person's not interested in you.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so I guess that's really everything up to the recoupling, and thank God, because we have to talk about it.
We have waited long enough to get to this recoupling.
So Ariana comes in looking hot as always, and she says this recoupling is different. It's a new thing for the first time ever. And America has voted on who the new bombshells should couple up with. And now, last time we did this vote was season 2 on CBS, and we voted for who they went on dates with. And it was Explosive TV with Mackenzie and Connor.
Was that the last time ever?
I think it was the last time we had a vote on like who of the bombshells should go out with, but I could be wrong. I'm not a historian.
Maybe just the most famous. I don't know that it is the most recent, but if I am wrong, let me know.
I mean, I'm not. If it happened again, it wasn't memorable. That's all I'll say.
I do feel like it has happened pretty regularly over the course of Love Island, never to such an extreme. And I think the reason why the season 2 comparisons come up is because it created tons of drama, but nothing could compare to this from a mechanic standpoint and also from a drama standpoint.
Period. So, as we recommended after the Friday episode, America voted with us. They put Jalen with Alandria, Pepe with Hannah, and Iris with Jeremiah. Oh, Ace cackling when this gets announced, injected straight in my veins. Like, that is a certified hater.
Just openly giggling. He basically lets out a ha. Like, he may as well have pointed straight at Huda and laughed at her. Like it
like
was
a Bart Simpson, like haha.
It was so crazy. Huda yells, "What the fuck?" Like she is so upset about this. It makes no sense. Everyone is so surprised. Jeremiah says he has no words, and it is messy, messy, messy immediately.
Yes. And so Jeremiah says, like basically Hannah's like surprised. Alandria's like, oh, I'm processing it, but like I'll explore with Jalen, no problem. Jeremiah's like, I'm gonna miss going to bed with and waking up next to Huda. Huda says she feels like she got slapped in the face and that she thought they had the best connection in here, which is obviously a throwback to Aaron last year talking about Andrea and Rob, which Josh often will just walk around going, they've got the best connection in here.
It was, and she said this multiple times, and you can see other people's reactions to Huda at different points, which don't always match up, I feel like, with what they're telling her. Because I think when she has said this in the past, people have kind of been like, there's a little meme going around of everyone making a face. When she finds out that Jeremiah is going to be coupled up with Iris, I feel like if you really look, it's not just Ace laughing. It feels like other people are also making faces and finding it entertaining. They're just not openly laughing and giggling as much as Ace does. So it's definitely getting a reaction, at least on the down low.
100%. Well, and how could it not? Like, imagine living in a villa with a couple that is having like all out like brawls over a pancake, right? Like everyone is definitely talking about this and having reactions to it that we're not necessarily seeing.
Yeah,
So
and we see some small parts of it, and then, like, in terms of like, I don't know what's going on here, but I think it's mostly off on private conversations, and now they're starting to get to see a little bit of it.
yes.
But there's a twist, Kirsten. The three people that are now uncoupled in Taylor, Charlie, and Huda have to stand at the front, and the Islanders that were not recoupled will have to vote for one of them to go home, which
That's right.
they do not
And
like.
I'm gonna try and play the audio of Amaya into
I hope it works
my
because
microphone right here. It might not work and it might be really loud. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm just
okay.
gonna try.
No, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. No.
And
Please
that's
stop.
basically her the whole
No.
time. No, we don't want to do that. It's like, Amaya, no one here even likes you. Why are you that
Look.
concerned?
No, she is distraught. And honestly, this is the point where I was like, okay, Amaya can stay. I'm living for this reaction. It's so funny.
I love it.
Other people, like, even like, I see Shelly, like, no, we're not doing this. Charlie decides it's time. He needs to make a pitch because he's standing there with two OGs. And I think he knows his chances are not good. And he's like,
And
guys, I just want to say, to which they're like, no, Charlie, don't do this. Like,
because they all assume that he is saying, send me home. I'm going to leave, which is ridiculous. He literally just made up with Hannah. Why would he ask to leave? It doesn't make any sense. And they're like, no, don't do this. And so he doesn't even get a chance like to really make his full pitch. Like he does say, before you make a decision, Hannah and I had the most amazing conversation. This is a feeling I've never felt before. Everything we went through led to this moment. We've rediscovered each other. We had our first hurdle and we've come back stronger. And like, I wish one person on Big Brother 26 had fought that hard to stay in the house.
I know. It really was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I liked the pitch. I appreciated the effort. I think this is what you got to do. If you know you're in this spot, you're going home, bleed for your life. There's no reason not to. But
agreed.
Unfortunately for Charlie, the votes do not fall in his favor here.
So Austin votes for Taylor. And I do want to say for the record, I think Austin's the only one who voted correctly based on these three people being up for elimination.
Tell me more as to why you wish Taylor went home.
Well, Huda, listen, this might be cruel. This might make me just as evil as reality TV producers. I don't know. But the point of voting Jeremiah and Iris is to get the full Huda crash out. So you can't send her home right away because then we don't get the full impact of that decision, right? Charlie just rediscovered Hannah. They really like each other. And like, yeah, I get your point about like a really committed couple that we're not that engaged in, but I didn't hate the idea of him still being there and seeing where that goes. Whereas like, listen, Taylor and Alondria, even up to the end of the Wednesday episode, they're telling me they like each other romantically. They're telling me they want to be together physically. I don't believe them. I don't believe them. And so I would have been totally fine with Taylor going home. I also would have been totally fine if they had gone through this voting exercise and Ariana then said, oh, that's interesting. Anyways, no one's going home. Bye.
I think I saw a lot of people wishing that Taylor went home. For me, he is a very neutral. I don't love Taylor. I feel like he brings almost nothing to the show. I don't believe he's into Alandria. He's openly discussed with Ace how there's no sexual attraction there. And even if they have now kind of found something, I don't think Alandria wants to be with someone who spoke about her that way and like has had those feelings towards her. So I don't put a lot of stock into this. I'm hoping Alandria ends up with someone else. I know the internet wants that to be Nick. We'll see if that happens. But I just am not invested in this relationship. But in the same way that I am not invested in this relationship, I am not invested in Charlie and Hannah. I think that it was going to be a boring couple that was going to march to a very real chance of winning. And so for me, I'm fine with how the votes fell.
But now I'm like, to me it's the same as Hannah being with Pepe, so I'm like, whatever. We'll see. We'll see how it
Pepe's
goes.
cheating in Casa Amor. Don't start.
So was Charlie. And Hannah probably. Let's be clear. Hannah says she doesn't want to kiss anyone else. She'll be macking, okay?
I think she does more likely than Charlie, yes.
Let me tell you one thing about Hannah. Girl be macking, okay? The final vote, so Sierra, Shelly, and Amaya were the votes for Charlie. Nick and Ace both voted for Huda. Amaya was the final vote, and she put the final nail in Charlie's coffin, which I think makes a lot of sense in the context of he just tried to use you to get back at your best friend. Even if they've like rediscovered each other and everything's fine now, you can't forget that someone did your girl like that, and did you like that. And so I think it makes a lot of sense why she voted for Charlie as well. Her and Huda had a rough start, but they do seem to be quite good friends from this point. Sure. And so I can understand why she wouldn't vote for Huda. And like, what, she's going to make it a 3-3, a 2-2-2 tie?
Why not?
I saw people were speculating what would happen if it was a tie, and I thought I was really funny when I said, hopefully fire making.
No, absolutely not.
No, but can you imagine the Love Island people trying to make fire?
No.
That you could give them matches and they
Don't start.
wouldn't be able
No,
to do it.
not down. I think she could have voted for Taylor here. I was kind of surprised that she voted for Charlie. Hannah is hysterically crying, being like, please don't do it. And this is her best sister in the villa. Why would you vote out your best sister's man who she's begging you not to vote out?
Tough love, baby.
Look, I think even Hannah's sister has been online being like, Hannah will be fine. I think she'll be happy with this in the long run. So I think that Amaya made the right decision for Hannah. Just,
yes,
it was one that surprised me as well. Now, yes. I will say, I wasn't necessarily surprised about both of these votes, but let's talk about the Huda votes.
Listen, Ace has been waiting patiently, hating from a distance, hating hard, and wanting them to break up. When he cast his vote for Huda, he's like, we have been in this villa to explore connections. That is what Love Island is. And there's one person here who from day one has been closed off, unwilling to entertain everyone else. And I think that's bullshit. And then votes for Huda, and her face is horrified.
It is so funny. He is taking such glee. Ace loves to stir up this drama, and he has long been Jeremiah and Huda's biggest hater. At one point, he was interested in getting to talk to Huda, and that never came to fruition. So I don't know.
And I think that's part of why he hates them so much. Like, yeah. It definitely feeds in. Like, she didn't even give me the time of day because of Jeremiah. Yep. Ace doesn't like Jeremiah.
And then we also have the other vote being from Nick, who is the uncle to Huda's child. And he votes her out of the house.
And it's the same basic rationale as Ace of like, people here are exploring and meeting people, and one of these people is not open to the experience of Love Island. Like, send them home. And I loved it. I was surprised that Nick voted that way, and I loved that he did. Incredible.
It was such a blindside.
After this is over, again, Hannah is crying as if Charlie has been given 3 months to live. Like, oh, no. It's like it's a hysterical, which is, she's emotional. She's allowed to be emotional. I don't say that as a judgment on the crying, just as a descriptor for how hard she was crying.
I encourage it, in fact.
Sorry?
I said I encourage the crying.
Yeah, please. I love it. Give me drama, give me emotions. Like, that's why we watch the show. Charlie is like, Pepe, I'm devastated, but I know you're a good guy. He comforts Hannah as she cries. And I did like how he handled this. He did not try to get Hannah to leave with him. He did not try to like ruin her full Love Island experience. He says, I wish I had more time with you. I feel like you're special, and just promise me this: when you get out of the villa, if you haven't met anyone else, call me up and we'll see what we can experience outside of this, which I think is like the best you can do.
I agree. I do think it is the best that he can do. Unfortunately, as he says, it does seem like he is leaving her in the hands of a very good guy. So I don't know how likely that is to happen. We get a like very distraught exit photo out of Charlie that's been going around.
It's so and like Love Island has been posting TikToks with just like a still image of the eliminated islander with just like music over it, and the Charlie one is so sad.
Aw. Look, Charlie's going home, but turns out it's actually Austin who is getting the flack here. The boys are pointing out, Austin, you ruined it. This could have been a 3-3 vote. You had to vote out Huda, but instead you voted Taylor, and because of it, your best friend's going home. What is wrong with you?
And like Ace is there like, why did you do this? Like really taking the lead. And Austin's like, well, I thought Huda and Jeremiah have a good connection, and I thought Charlie and Hannah had a good connection, so I didn't really know what to do. So I voted for Taylor.
Yep. Yep. I love Nick being like, Charlie and Hannah overcame so many obstacles. The biggest problem that Jeremiah and Huda had was a pancake. And it destroyed them.
And it did. And it did destroy them. And Jeremiah's like, I don't understand what all of your issue is. Like, I found someone I'm interested in. I'm having a good, like, I don't tell you guys how to date. Why do you tell me how to date? And Nick's like, well, why did Huda give you a hickey to prevent you from talking to other women?
I mean, not wrong.
Well, but also, like, it's Love Island. Is a hickey going to really prevent someone from talking to you if they really want to?
Iris did say out and out, I have the ick from Jeremiah because he has a hickey from Huda right now. So
yeah, but he also like a hickey doesn't go on in 1 second. Like Jeremiah let that happen.
Why did you do that? Why did you give me a hickey? And she said, I didn't.
That's true. That is true. But like he also let it happen.
Yeah,
which was crazy. Like I feel like at that point you're like, get off of me. Like stop that.
My thing with Jeremiah and Huda at this point is maybe there is more to them that we don't see, but as far as the show is concerned, they're fighting or fucking, and there's no in between. Like they are 0 or 100, negative 100 or 100, really, and it is difficult. It's so difficult. It's so toxic. They go from just absolutely hating each other, it seems like, to being all over each other, and I think that's the problem is. They don't have any middle ground. So if she's giving him the hickey, he's at that 100, and it takes the come down to the negative 100 for him to even say anything about it, which is a problem.
I think that's a really insightful point. Yeah, it's they are not each other's match. They are not meant to be. They are a toxic cycle, and I don't even know. Like, this is the type of thing where it's like, oh, you really want that relationship to work? You guys need to commit to like a lot of therapy, both together and separate, to work on your own issues and work on your issues together to learn how to communicate and do that. And it's like, you've known each other 2 weeks. Why would you ever put that level of effort into someone you met 2 weeks ago?
I don't know. Jeremiah has assured me he knows what healthy communication looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and trust him on this one.
He basically said, I'm comfortable using therapy jargon in real life.
Well, he does.
Yeah, but again, as a third party outside observer with no stake in the relationship, I would say that he does not use them in a good faith way. But he can, don't worry, Jeremiah to the rescue to explain healthy communication. To us.
It does become a problem. The thing I will say is I thought it was weird that all of the boys just completely ditched Jeremiah off of this. Like,
except Austin.
Except for Austin. Austin seems to have the strongest disdain for every man in the villa.
Well, like, because sneakily. He's literally sitting with Jeremiah and he's like, Jeremiah's like, oh, I'm surprised by Nick. And Austin's like, I'm not. Nick's a follower. Look at Ace, the ringleader. He's literally like standing up and gesturing. And why does he have so much of input over this vote? And it's like, yeah, Austin, you'd follow Ace too if you weren't in a love triangle with him.
Ooh, I was going to ask, is Nick a follower?
I think Nick is a follower in the way that Tyler Crispin was a wounded baby bird who needed to be
Mm,
protected.
okay, interesting. I think
To
it's
which just to which I mean no, for anyone who's not a Big Brother watcher.
gotcha. I think it is not entirely inaccurate. I think Ace has successfully pointed out something that is there to everyone. And I
Yes.
think that Nick is one of those people that has been influenced by Ace's
Well,
pointing out. But I
and
don't
I
think that he
think
is just going to do everything that Ace says.
the other thing too, and I'm not trying to make any like statement about what it means or what the intention is, but Huda told Nick about having a baby after, well, baby, she's a child now. She's not a baby. After like Nick had expressed some concern about the relationship and about her being authentic. And I think that perhaps part of why even the boys she's not in a relationship with weren't privy to that information is because she likes the idea of being able to pull that information out to
Oh,
justify sometimes actions. And so I think that Nick probably got a bad taste from that. And also like she tries to do it with Ace too. She pulls Ace and it's
that's
like,
the one I
is
think
there
is worse.
something you're not telling me? Like, don't make me look stupid. And Ace is like, y'all have been love bombing each other. Like, it seems like you came in to be locked in from day one to just win the season. I'm not the only one who sees it. America sees it too. And Huda goes, well, I'm a mom, and that's why I'm so careful. And Ace is just like, doesn't react at all to her saying I'm a mom, which made me believe, oh, Nick told everyone. But then
Ooh.
later in this batch, Austin finds out and is surprised. And so
I
now
don't
I
think
don't
Nick's
know.
told everyone. I just think Ace is like, yeah, and we all have lives outside of here. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. And Ace, and I also think the way Huda like says it is very much like this is a reveal. Like, I'm a secret mathematician. Like,
Yep.
my sister's Ariana Grande. I am a mom.
Classic
And
reveals.
Ace is like, she wants a reaction. She won't be getting one because I'm the number one hater in the world.
Yep. Yep. And I think this is at the point where Huda is starting to see that maybe America doesn't fully agree with her journey. Maybe there is something that is wrong here. It's not her.
Yeah,
Definitely
maybe
not her.
something's wrong. It couldn't be her. She's one of the most understanding people you'll ever meet, so it couldn't possibly be her. And so now she's really got it in her head. Jeremiah's done something horrible.
And
Obviously.
I will say the women are being good friends in protecting her feelings and saying and like upping her here, but being very bad friends in that uh they do not allow any other perspective here. It is fully just you could not possibly be the problem. He is definitely the problem, and Huda
Well,
is
you
not.
can't say that you're the problem to Huda because then all of a sudden she's saying, "Oh, they're not a girl's girl. They don't
I don't
support
know.
women."
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to get called the B word, but I do
Well,
think, look, she's very understanding.
listen, Huda would in fact call you Brian, so you're right about that. um,
Ugh.
and Jeremiah talks to Iris, and he's like, "I don't know why America voted like this." Iris is like, "Well, maybe America saw you fighting." And Jeremiah's like, "Oh, we just made up. Reed had sex." But like obviously we didn't see that before the vote. And he says, I'm not just jumping girl to girl just because I don't know what to think of all this. Like, I'm not faking it. I'm fucked up over losing the guys like that. And Iris is like, "Oh, are you gonna talk to Huda?" And he's like, "Maybe not tonight," which is
No,
crazy. Like, I know that she's upset, but I feel we know enough of Huda by now. They had to talk tonight, and her to like him to reassure her, like, "I didn't choose this. I don't know why they voted for this. Like, I still like you." But then
please.
it doesn't
There
even
could be,
matter because when would he have checked on her? She's in the shower screaming that he's a bitch.
look, if I am staying in a shared house with my friends and there's no drama, I'm like, why didn't they say goodnight to me? So I don't blame Huda at all for spiraling out here. I think it is unimaginable that Jeremiah does not check in with her here. And I think, like, I understand, you have to. give yourself some space and figure yourself out, pull down the mask for yourself before you can help somebody else. But I think this is a tough one. Huda was in a much worse position than he was, one vote away from going home. I think Jeremiah did a really bad job not checking in with her. Now, how Huda handles it, terrible.
Yeah, 100%. Like, even if he had said, Huda, I still feel really strongly for you. I feel horrible about what went down tonight. I'm so confused about why America voted like this. I just need to take the night to get my head on straight and let's have a deep conversation in the morning. I'm going to go sleep in soul ties. I think that that's like probably best case considering he wasn't open to having the full conversation. But also, he didn't even really get a chance to do it from what we saw on the show because, again, he is called a fucking liar, a bitch, like just she immediately falls to calling names every single time.
Her husband would never, which again, it's day 12.
But also, like, what did he do? Like, the night's not even over. He could have been coming to talk to you right now, and then you were calling him all these names.
This is because at this point, I think Huda has fully convinced herself that America has seen that Jeremiah is a manipulative, lying jerk, that he has just absolutely done her wrong at every single turn, and she has convinced herself, unfortunately, that this is the case. And I think there are points in which, like, again, Jeremiah could have checked in, even if that is just a, hey, are you okay? I'm not. But that is not Jeremiah's style. We saw earlier in the season when he was not doing okay because of some comments from the boys, Huda tries to check in and he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I want to deal with it myself and then we will talk about it. Whereas Huda is, I want to talk about it right now, whether it's my problem or yours, we have to talk about it. So it's just, they don't have matching communication styles regardless, let alone at a thing where emotions are heightened this far.
Yes. And he does say right before bedtime to Austin, like, I fucked up. I should have comforted her right away. But it's fine. It doesn't matter because at 5 a.m, all of the bombshells get a text that they will be going on a triple date today.
Production's so messy.
And I love them for it. But the funniest part of all of it is, like, we get the scene, we get everyone leaving, the girls get ready quietly, they all leave together. And then you see Huda just, like, in the dark, her eyes just pop open. And then it's like, they're gone. They went on a date. And again, this is 5 a.m. They were probably up quite late last night. So I think everyone is very tired. She goes and wakes up Taylor, who, by the way, is sleeping on a day bed or a couch. Like, he doesn't even have a real bed. At first I thought he was laying across the foot of, like, one of their beds on those little benches. Thankfully, that was just me not being able to see night vision very well. And she's like, Taylor, they're gone. They're on a date. And it's like, well, why are you making him miserable too? Like, go back to sleep.
Can we acknowledge that she woke him up by three fingers poking him in the forehead? Like, what is that?
Like when the Pope dies and they have to spend the night, like, hitting him in the head with the hammer, like, lightly to confirm that he's dead.
Didn't know this was a thing. Didn't need to know that was a thing.
Well, you know now. Anyway, and then, like, in the morning, you see, like, Taylor's, like, confiding in Nick, and he's like, she woke me up. She woke me up to tell me they were gone. And Nick's like, well, what's waking you up gonna bring them back?
It is so bizarre. Like, let me sleep. I don't need to be miserable with you unless I'm going to be awake comforting you and you're like, I need you right now. Fine. But otherwise, let me sleep. That is always my answer. Let me sleep.
If you love me, let me sleep.
Real.
Period. Like,
real. If you don't need a pancake here because Jeremiah is not here to make it, then let me sleep.
No, even if you need a pancake, business hours are at 8 a.m. You can call me then.
8 is too early.
Well, yeah, but, like, I don't know. When they wake all of us up, then you can ask me for a pancake. But if the lights are off, and again, they were probably up so fucking late the night before with the recoupling, with the vote, with Ariana coming in, with all of the fallout, like, they probably officially went to bed very, very late. Like, I think these people on the date maybe had 4 hours of sleep at the most.
Oh, when they're leaving, it's like, are we excited? And they're like, yay. Like, they are not
Can
happy.
I sleep on the way? Like, I'm tired. And so they go on their dates. Jeremiah and Iris go kayaking and sit on a blanket on the beach.
Cool.
They talk about people being crazy in LA because Iris says, "Oh, sometimes people go on a few dates and think they're married," and Jeremiah's like, "I relate to that." Like, haha. Which he hasn't even talked to Huda yet, and he's already kind of talking shit about her, which is kind of a bad look, in my opinion.
I agree. And Jeremiah even saying, like, I'm here to hit the reset button. Like, I'm ready. America put us together for a reason. Let's, like, explore this. What?
Yeah, it's what they had to do.
It's not ideal. I think
It's
that
not ideal.
he probably has, like, he should do this, I think, like, in normal Love Island.
Yeah.
But you're dating Huda.
I
and the
think
way that you left her.
I think
it's not
pretty
good.
much everything he said was fine, except the part where he kind of like throws a little shade at Huda is a bad look considering they haven't talked yet.
Agreed.
Jalen and Alondra give each other massages and talk about how they're close with their families.
Sure. This was so clear that Alondra did not want to be doing massages to me.
Yeah, because like I feel like Jalen gave her a good ass massage. Like he has big hands. I'm sure that was a wonderful massage. And as someone with chronic back pain, I would love a massage from Jalen. But then like
to have a lot of things in common, but as soon as it was Alandria's time to give him a massage, she was like, "All right, bud, get up. We're done here."
Yeah, she basically was like, "Oh yeah, like poke with my fingers. I'll give you some knuckle. I'll give you some elbow." Like she did not want to touch this man. Unfortunately,
if there were some wooden salad spoons, she would have just been using those instead and rolling Tonka trucks. Like this was not happening.
Stop it. What was that actually from?
Friends. Moving on.
Thank you. I was like, I know I've seen this plot line. Pepe and Hannah go snorkeling. They talk about their love languages. They seem to have a lot in common and agree on a lot of important things. And so it seems like this is at least a good start. She's fine.
That's the thing is it was very, very, very dramatic how Charlie left the villa. But very quickly, I was like, I think Hannah's going to be okay.
Hannah doesn't want to go. If Hannah was that mad about it, she would have left with him. Like,
Hannah
she's not going to give
Love
up
Island
her
more than she wants
experience.
Charlie. Sorry.
And who wouldn't?
Which she should. She should want to be on Love Island more.
It just shows her priorities are straight. It makes me like her better.
Yep.
And so we'll see how this pans out with them, but we don't really know. Back at the villa, Ace plans a date for Shelly, which is ping pong and pancakes. And for every point scored, the person who scores will be fed a chunk of pancake. And Nick is dressed in a blazer to feed the pancake chunks. And he's giving like giant bites of pancake, like too much pancake on a bite.
I think this was a cute idea. Maybe I'm just a sucker for alliteration. Again,
this was the same as a dance, as a meditate, as a yoga class, which you literally just said you hated. So I need you to shape up, Scally, because you hate this too.
I'm going to finish speaking now. I'm going to say that I don't know why we had to have 7 other people here. We could have done the pancakes and ping pong and fed each other, made it more intimate and romantic by feeding each other the pancakes. But no. Okay.
What a romantic date. At first, I thought it was that Ace was planning it for everyone to cheer everyone up and that everyone was playing like a ping pong tournament. And I was more interested in that than it being another dumbass date.
Literally. Nothing's happening here. And while that's all happening, Huda's still completely crashing out, talking to Amaya, saying that she has figured it out. She's now concerned Jeremiah was love bombing her, which I will say, the most true thing she said in a couple of hours. So that's fair.
He was love bombing her. She was also love bombing him.
That is true.
And she takes it right to like, what kind of man doesn't check in on someone? Like, he always says he wants to be dominant, but I have to take the lead. And Amaya's like, you know what? Just remember, like, Jeremiah makes everything about him. Like, you should know this now. And Huda's like, I see what he's doing. He could never win me back. It would take a miracle.
A miracle, she says. Would it have taken a miracle?
Well, if you consider Jeremiah apologizing for things that aren't his fault to be a miracle, then yes, it would take a miracle.
Yeah, valid. I don't know.
And then she also talks to Nick, and Nick says he didn't get to say everything he wanted to say during the recoupling. Like, he loved all three of the options. It wasn't anything against her, but his gut was telling him that there was tunnel vision between her and Jeremiah, and that was maybe the right call. And he thinks the way Jeremiah is moving is disappointing, and he's sorry that it impacts her. And Nick says, it also goes back to when you're always telling everyone that Jeremiah's your man. She goes, well, you could have told me. I'm one of the most understanding people that you'll ever meet.
Yeah, no. Nick admits that he's afraid of her.
The fact that Nick could keep a straight face when she said, I'm one of the most understanding people you'll ever meet, made me scared of Nick.
Like, you're the least understanding person in this villa.
Like, you're the least understanding person in this conversation of two people.
Yes.
I did see a lot of opinions online this week about how Huda is obviously seems to be spiraling, crashing out, not doing well. And notice how Amaya and Nick are the two healthcare workers, and they are really, you would understand that based on their healthcare training, they're good at de-escalating situations. And after Huda talked to both Amaya and Nick, like, she does calm down a bit. She just can't maintain that calm for
if
very
by
long.
Calming down you mean putting on her sunglasses and sitting on a pool chair pretending that she does not care at all, when in fact she looks like she could not possibly care any more than she does in that moment.
Listen, I used that image today. I said, lost bocce ball today, and I got several replies being like, wow, and you're unbothered, obviously. So everyone could tell by that posture that Huda was unbothered and everything's fine.
It is so funny. She parks herself exactly there. Like, if you're unbothered, you would just be like, hi, and then not continue talking to them. Doing this and blatantly ignoring them, like, again, the opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference.
You can see how fast she's breathing. Like, you can tell she's pissed. I would pay money to see what her blood pressure was in that moment, because I think that she was so mad that it was probably elevated. You could see her chest rising and falling. You could just tell she's pissed based on her posture, based on everything about it. But it's okay. Everyone's back from the date. And at this point, Jeremiah's like, Huda's cooked. What she said to me was so fucked up. I wish she went home last night. Like, I don't know.
Look, he is going way too in, and this is, I think, one of Jeremiah's biggest flaws, is he keeps saying things that he either doesn't mean or doesn't think that are giant contradictions to each other, because he is, again, last night, like, oh, I should have done something. Now, wow, the way she spoke to me, I'll never speak to her again. It's not adding up. And a person that it's not adding up for is Huda, who has made her way like Swiper the Fox sneakily across the backyard and is just listening on every word of this conversation. And she's listening to all of the words. I don't think she is hearing all of them very clearly, because when she relays them later, it's completely incorrect. But Huda is steamed listening to Jeremiah talk about her here.
I love, and when she finally stands up, I like, haha, I was here the whole time. She goes, by all means, explore. Fuck you, and flips him, gives him the double birds.
Yep. It is so wild, because you have the other guys. Like, Nick is like, you should have talked to her. Like, I lost some respect for how you handled this all last night. And so, the guys have been on her side, but still she goes back to the girls chat and is yelling, calling him the B word, calling him the P word, saying he's a piece of the S word, all of the words Jeremiah is. And that he said, quote, he is using Iris as an scapegoat just so that he could stay in the game, which he never said, as far as we saw.
Also, once again, Did he choose to couple up with Iris? No, America voted for it. So how is she his scapegoat?
It
Which is, by
was
the way, one of the
my
funniest like
favorite.
sayings to get wrong that I love. Like it's like that, and like when people say dog eat dog instead of dog
Yep.
eat dog. Those are probably my top two favorites.
It's so funny. And meanwhile, you have the bombshells. The three of them are talking upstairs. We get almost nothing from them except them being like, let's just stay out of this. We don't want to be
Yeah,
involved in this at all.
they're like, this is not our business. Like, let's do it. But too late
Mm-mm.
because Huda comes up into the bombshell chat and she goes, Iris, can we talk? Jalen and Pepe, can you leave so we could talk privately?
Yep. And Pepe's like, should we stay close just in case? Like, is this a situation where we need to be on hand?
I mean, mind you, they just decided they were staying out of it. So
Yeah, and I think it was just like Hood has been yelling. Like, is this going to continue into a screaming match? It doesn't look great. And Hood immediately goes to Iris and says she just overheard everything. I want to know how the date went. And look, very quickly, it goes south. Iris says
I
Jeremiah was open to exploring other connections, and it was a date on a beach. To which Huda
it's
says, "Oh, great, my perfect date," and he knew that.
it's like so Huda goes, what was the date? And Iris says, it was just sitting on the beach. And Huda goes, my dream date.
As if Jeremiah planned the date.
It's like but
And
like
if
she
it's
could have said anything and she would have said my dream date. Imagine if they'd gone back to the water park. Iris would been like, oh, it was just at a water park. And I'd be like, where we went on our
that's
first
messed.
date, he took you to the same place.
They should do that.
They should have done that. Yes, I agree.
Not yet, but most stereotypical like thing that they do on Love Island. That's all they do is sit on a beach.
It's the whole time that you're in there. It's like that's not a like quote special date. I mean anywhere. Like it's going to the beach is an activity you can do as a couple, but it's not like the date of all dates. And Iris is literally like, it's not worth your tears or your energy. You should like it's not worth fighting for someone who doesn't give you what you need. Um this is
Yep.
where like all of the women also come up to the conversation as well. And Alondri's like, why
Good
would you
move.
want someone like that? She's like, I
And
don't.
I'm wondering, like, I think that they do genuinely believe it at this point. I think the other women in the villa do think that Jeremiah is the problem. They say at different points, like, where Jeremiah goes, like, trouble follows. He is a part of too much. But I think even to a certain degree, it could be like, if you think this, then why do you want him? Like, let's
Yeah.
logic with your logic. If
But
you really think
also
this,
sorry, yes.
you're good.
100% correct. But also, I think sometimes in a dating context, the biggest crash outs come from like the most minor, unserious like situationships where when it ends, it's not even like, okay, we had this relationship, it ran its course, we're not meant to be. It's like, I really thought this was gonna work out and it was so special, and now it was just cut off so short lived. And so now I have to accept that it's over and also grieve the future that I kind of thought we were going to have. And like, I don't know, I feel like, especially early 20s, crashing out more over something so stupid feels very realistic.
I think we should also add the context. I was reminded that I think Huda has not dated in like 4 years, and she's 24, so she has not dated in a long time. Probably like around since she's had a kid. Like this is a very difficult situation. She apparently has never watched Love Island, according to some of her friends. So she thinks that she's doing it right. Like she doesn't have context for what right is on Love Island.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that context like doesn't make anything correct, but like helps
Yeah,
to fill in the picture.
100%. And also, like, of course, we're not endorsing her actions and we don't think that she's reacting correctly. But also, leave the father of her child alone.
Oh yeah.
Like, don't, like,
Leave
people
all
don't
of
need
these
to be,
people alone.
leave everyone alone. Like, Huda doesn't need to be bullied on the internet.
If you know the history of Love Island UK where multiple contestants end so much criticism. You do not need to be adding to that.
Exactly. With that is one way in which we do not need to be the same as Love Island UK. Like we can be better, we can treat people better. We don't need to be bullying. Like if someone's so horrible, they'll sort it out on their own time. We don't have to be telling them. How we feel about them is actually none of their business. Once again, Jeremiah says losing the boys is what hurt the most. Like he brings that up several times. Like that is definitely really, really bugging. Him
very bothered. Ace is like, look, I'm not trying to say I was saving you from this, but like, you know, like, I mean, you set such a high bar. Obviously, it was going to be really hard for you to come back from. It was hard to maintain, hard to, once you slipped up, to get back to there. And during the course of all of these conversations, the sky's gone from like early morning, midday to dusk. It's nighttime now. This has been going on for a long time.
12 years later.
Yep.
Huda and Jeremiah finally chat. He asks to pull her for a chat. It's really awkward because he's like, where do you want to go? And she's like, wherever you want to go. And he's like, Sultai, speakeasy. And it's like really weird. She's like, you lead the way. Like you can tell that that's really important to her in this moment. And he starts talking and she's like, no, save it for when we get there. And everyone who's like still in this giant group that had just been consoling her kind of looks over like, whoo.
Jeremiah wants to be dominant, but I do think it's kind of going to be hard to be dominant when she is telling him what to do at every moment.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when all you want to be is a dom, but you are being given orders every 5 minutes. And he says, I want to know how you're feeling, but first just let me apologize. I can't really explain what happened last night. I froze and I shut down. I wish I could have been here for you. Like I just didn't know, how to react. And she immediately goes in like, well, just so you know, something I've noticed is that you play the victim and I notice patterns and you're selfish. You're often selfish. Last night was the big one. Like, I know you don't care about me. I was about to get voted off and I still checked on Hannah and Charlie. No one cared about me at all. It was the worst scenario and you weren't there for me. Like, just she's going in and he's like trying to interject, being like, that's a stretch. That's not true. I do care about you. But she is just speaking over him about how he's playing the victim and how it's his fault that all of this happened. And why aren't you registering why I feel this way? And why aren't you registering what I've been through? I don't want anything to do with you. And it's like, hello?
It's not good. It's definitely not good. I think this was coming down to where we said they have different communication styles. Jeremiah is saying, like, I was checked out. I literally couldn't do anything. I could not. And I think where she's saying he's selfish is like, you're concerned with your own feelings and not mine in this moment. But like, does he have to? Like, I don't know what the right answer is there fully. I think the answer is just you both can react to things the way you want to, and that does not mean you have to be reacting to things together, and probably should not be, in fact.
100%. And I think it's also just, the communication is just so bad that like maybe the ideal communication again would have been like, hey, I'm not okay. I'm so sorry this happened. I just need to go be alone in Soul Ties for the night and we can have a full chat in the morning. I'm so sorry this happened.
And look, should he have slept in Soul Ties? Yes, the first night. Should he have slept in Soul Ties the second night? After said that part of what really upset her was that he slept in a bed with another woman that first night. Yes. Does Jeremiah sleep in bed with another woman again?
Yes.
Also, yes. So I do think that to a degree, Huda is telling Jeremiah exactly what she needs, and he is pretending to not know despite being given exact directions.
Which is, it's a classic. You got a heterosexual relationship. That's a cliche. That's a classic. And he's like, Iris isn't even my type. She's awesome, but she's not my type. He's like, but you laid in bed with her. And that's where it really goes. And I just like, you know what? You broke my heart. Which I mean, it's funny because like, again, he sleeps in the bed with Iris again. And like, Jeremiah still makes Huda breakfast the next day.
Yeah, look, this is the really interesting part of this conversation for me was when she's like, and America sees how you were not good enough for me and you didn't step it up. And Jeremiah's like, whoa, wait a minute. Have you not thought about the possibility that they say you and they don't like you? And she's like, so you're saying America doesn't like me? And like, Jeremiah does not luckily step on that bomb. He goes quiet for a second.
Yeah.
But this is the first person who has said to Huda, maybe Jeremiah is not the problem, and maybe we need to look inward. But she quickly brushes right past that.
Well, I mean, it's just kind of what you have to do. They do talk the next morning about Jeremiah says he realized why things were so good and then went so south because they got intimate so soon. They skipped the best friend part and went straight into hyper relationship. In the future, to be healthy, like we should start at friends. And Huda's like, I'm hurt. I've been so vulnerable. I've been all over you. Going back to friends would be so hard. Jeremiah's like, well, I want to do it right. And I was just like, well, I can't be buddy when I'm hurt. Like, you slept in the bed with Iris again. And Jeremiah's like, yeah, well, but like we're not good and together. So like, why would I go sleep in soul ties when we're not even good? And it's like, Jeremiah,
Like if you want to be good, then act like you are. Dress for the job you want, Jeremiah. Like you need to do better here. I just don't understand. Like if you want to be working towards a goal, then like put the work in towards that goal.
But also, I think he was saying we need to go back to friends to make it healthy as a way to be like, we can't be together, but like without saying we can't be together.
I don't agree at all. I think Jeremiah
Okay.
has relapsed fully. I think he is fully back on the Huda train. I really do think she is separated from him with like her legs stretched out. He leans in to put his legs over her. People are saying like, oh, are Huda's legs tangled up in Jeremiah's? No, Jeremiah's are tangled up in Huda's because he made that move. From my point of view here, I really think that he is trying to take a step back, and his like logic at this point is if we try this a different way, maybe it can work. And I'm not saying that it can't. I do think it's probably their best bet. But Huda is saying it would be hard, not necessarily here's how I want to go about it. She's not really presenting a solution from what we saw. But she tells everyone else that she presented a solution, and he said, hell no.
Yeah. And she is like, well, don't talk to me. Bye. Like, leave me alone if it doesn't matter to you. And he's like, what do you mean it doesn't matter to me?
Look, because he says basically, she's like, why are you why are you trying to get me to like you or something like that? And he's like, I'm not trying to get you to like me, in which I think in his point of view means like, I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm not doing this because I'm just trying to get me to like you. I'm doing this because I like you and I'm trying to repair things, but not like I am puppet mastering you liking me. And she takes that as, you don't care enough to try to get me to like you. Like you can't even try for me. That's crazy. Why would I ever spend another second with you?
We've already been talking about how you refuse to step up, and now you won't even try to manipulate me like a puppet.
It's so bad. And that is where, again, she storms off. There had already been lots of little group chats going on about Jeremiah and Huda, talking about how toxic it is. Should it continue? Hell no. No one in the villa thinks that this is good. And Huda then decides to walk up. She's done, not worth the stress, explained exactly what she needs. And he's just said he's not going to do that, which, if it happened, I don't feel like we saw.
If it happened and we saw it, it was just when she said, you keep sleeping in the bed with her.
Yes.
Like, that's the extent of what we've actually seen of her communicating a need to him and him saying, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
But it's even still like they have this conversation. Jeremiah also talks to Iris. He's like, I feel clear-headed. I was caring too much. I got wrapped up. Like, this was weird.
wild to me. The fact that Jeremiah can be like, now I have we have an open mind, we have open hearts. Like, I don't want you to feel like a plan B. It's the last thing I want. You told Huda that you have no attraction to this girl and that she's not your type. She doesn't need to be worried about her at all. It's crazy to me to backslide here.
This is kind of why I was feeling like Jeremiah was trying to let Huda down easy with the friendship thing. Because
To
like, why would
me,
he then go to this so easily? And I'm happy to be wrong. Like, it doesn't really
Sure.
matter whether I'm right or I'm wrong. That's just kind of how I was thinking about it. And I was like, I have an open mind, I have an open heart. Like, well, let's see what happens. Jeremiah straight up says the last thing I want is for you to feel like a plan B, which is crazy considering she never expressed that specifically as a concern. So it's kind of like, okay, so you're telling her she's plan B.
To me, I think that if Huda had been like, yes, let's work on us, I want to start as friends, he would have told Iris, like, I'm focusing on things with Huda. I think we're going to try as friends. I'm sorry. Like, this is not going to happen. But because Huda shut him down yet again, he goes to Iris and is like, you are my type. I am interested in you. And it's like, you can't walk this back. I think the door was closed.
Well,
Not
I
pun
think,
intended.
but again, like, he wanted to win Love Island. And so if he thinks the storyline with Huda will get him the win, he'll go that way. If he thinks Iris could get him the win, he'll go that way.
He has claimed at many points he doesn't give a crap what anyone thinks, including America. That is the last thing on his mind. I don't know that I believe him yet. I'm waiting
Yeah,
to
sure,
be proven wrong.
Jan. Sure, Jan. We'll see.
I don't know.
But Jeremiah tells the boys that Iris is really cool. Nick tells Jeremiah how Huda was calling him names. And it's like, yeah, we know. She was screaming them all over the whole villa all day and night.
Jeremiah was like, again? Like, really? Like, because I was too busy leaking the fact that she has a kid to Austin. So I was a little distracted.
Well, no, that was Ace and Shelly who leaked it.
Was it? Okay.
Oh, no. It was Shelly and
wasn't.
Jeremiah. It was Shelly and Jeremiah. It was Shelly and Jeremiah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It was Shelly and Jeremiah who leaked it to Austin, and they're like, "Ooh, don't say
I'm
that."
not used to Shelly talking to anyone but Ace and Austin.
Yeah, I think it was maybe Alandria.
Was it? Oh my
yeah,
god.
So
I'm the worst.
yeah. But I do have at this point the conversation where Huda says that Jeremiah has to have the realization that he's going to step it up or it's not happening. Sierra's like, hey, maybe we should like calm it down with the name comment calling for Jeremiah. And I'm like, finally, someone has said it. Because, you know, Sierra's had the name calling. She might not know about it. Maya's had the name calling. Iris has had the name calling. Everyone's had the name. Anyone can get it with the name calling from if they are mad.
And
but Huda's like, I'm just crashing out. Everyone does this when they're crashing out. Everyone does it. It's fine.
Everyone calls everyone a bitch when they're crashing out. I thought it was so funny because Sierra even was like, said it in the nicest way. Like, she didn't even say, hey, you should stop calling people names. She just said, hey, like, what if we calmed it down like a little bit? Like, so chill. And I was like, I was just crashing out.
Yep.
And Alondra asks, like, well, what are your non-negotiables? Like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you still interested in him based on everything that he's done if you're so mad? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it right now.
Yeah. This was also a moment for me where it led to the theory that like Huda is actively not letting herself see the truth, maybe, rather than like it being a little bit passive, because Alandra tries to open the conversation and it's like, let's talk about it, because you're saying that he needs to step it up, so that means there still is a chance. What is it that's finally going to be the non-negotiable? Is it when we get out of here and he cheats on you? Like, when are you finally calling time? And she's like, no, actually, I don't want to address this because I don't know that there are non-negotiables in the villa, unfortunately.
It seems like Huda does not have non-negotiables. She has demands. And then when the demands are not met, she has a reaction, but she doesn't actually draw a line. Because even after, like, at this point, Huda has told Jeremiah, like, I'm done with you. Don't talk to me. Like, we're through. Continues calling him names all up and down the day in the villa. And then she sees Jeremiah like walk Iris from the stairs to like the group and pull out her chair to sit at a table. And she's rushing away from the group crying, like, oh my God, he wouldn't even look at me. He pulled out her chair. And this is where Hannah's like, he will never be the man that you need. You never know who could come through the doors. Like, it's over.
And the thing is that, and I like the way that she phrases that, because it's not that Jeremiah is bad. It's not that Huda's expectations are completely unreasonable in the context of what she's saying. She's saying he's not what you need. You need something, and he is not that. Therefore, it is not good. So it is not a reflection on either of you necessarily. It is just not a match.
It's just not a match. And that's okay. Sometimes you can have very strong emotions and you're just not meant to be with someone, and that's okay. So that's kind of all for them before the recoupling at the end of the episode.
That's it? That's it? That's all of it?
That's all of it for them.
Huh.
Who do you like? I feel like there's only just a couple of small things to get to before the recoupling. Do we want to talk about Austin and Amaya?
Let's talk about Austin and Amaya, because it could not be more clear to me that they were going to recouple together based on the scenes we got of them.
Mm-hmm.
It is a couple of scenes where we get Austin and Amaya. We have the refresher that they have a good chemistry. They're just like joking about non-serious things, talking about how they like Amaya's happy to see that he's like funny and goofy again, and he's in a good mood because she kind of feels like he lost that. Austin felt stressed about everything, and so he just thinks that Amaya is someone he can relate to super easily. It's a not terrible match here.
No, it's not a bad match at all. I like, she goes, "Where's your family from?" And he says, "Michigan." She's like, "Oh, so you're just American." He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I'm just Dominican. Both my parents are Dominican. I'm the like first one that's born here."
Like, okay. I think that they were answering two different questions, but
yep.
Sure.
They were absolutely. And I gotta say, I love to see the "no, but where are you really from?" thrown at a white person. It's what we deserve.
Do think that if you pushed Austin on his background, he would say American. So I don't know that we were really going to get a lot deeper if we did push.
But then on a very real level, if you pushed once more, he might say, "I'm 1/8 Irish, 1/64 English." You know what I mean? Like, it could go either way with
That's
it.
true. That's true. So this is a series of conversations that they do have. I thought one of the more interesting was, look, I'm in, guys. I like Amaya. I think that she's fun. I think that she's bringing drama in the form of being completely unwilling to vote people out of the villa. But when she says, "Lift me up like we're getting married," woohoo! I was like, oh, there's the little bit of cringe that I still feel.
She's cringe and she's free. Let her live.
It's true.
It's fine. We also get Hannah and Pepe touch base about how, it was uncomfortable at the recoupling, but sometimes you have to break down to break through. And she says she's taking it minute by minute, which I feel like is not what I would want to hear from someone I'm romantically interested in.
No, I think that Pepe actually, as much as I thought he was a little bit too comfortable and too forward in his first two episodes, I think he does a good job here of being patient with Hannah. She just had a pretty emotional reaction to Charlie going home. And so when she's like, "I need to take it minute by minute," like, they're still making out. He's going to be fine. Yeah.
They have an attraction. So that will carry them far, I think. Maybe not through Casa Amor, but probably to Casa Amor.
I think so too. I definitely see them getting to Casa as we stand.
Also, do we think, is it going to be Casa next week?
I feel like we could be getting teasers for Casa by the end of this week.
Yeah, I think next week is going to be like them in Casa, which is exciting. There's also Alondra and Taylor talk, and he is like kind of teasing her that they went for full body massages, and they talk about how they connected more mentally before they did physically, and she thinks it's a green flag that Taylor isn't totally freaking out that she's coupled up with Jalen. And Alondra says, "You know what? If you left, I might have packed my bags."
Do you believe her?
No.
I think
What
she
do you
might.
mean? They then go into the photo booth and they don't even make out. It's just a little. What are we
Yeah.
doing?
I don't like it. I really don't. I kind of do believe her, and that's my problem. I wonder if it was just that Jalen was not the right person to be expressing interest in her. But I think Taylor and Alandria make great friends.
Yes.
But I've been wrong before. I still just don't see it. I think that they are two people that I like just fine, but I have next to no investment in them as a couple.
I agree completely. I just don't see the romance there. I just like, even when they're talking about like, oh yeah, like we had a mental connection first and then we had a physical. I'm like, show me where the physical connection is. I don't see it. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, I think that like maybe a post casa, they're still together and they spent a week apart from each other, and that made them realize like maybe then. But
Maybe.
as of right now, I don't see it.
Alondra also talks to Jalen about their date and how it was nice to get away from the drama. She says too much drama comes from Jeremiah. Huda should be thankful she saw Jeremiah's true colors 2 weeks in, which is Alondra is like very pro Huda and anti Jeremiah, it
Very
seems.
much so. I think that again, you could twist this to being like, if you think these are his true colors, then be thankful. Don't be upset. Like, we should be happy because you escaped this bad situation early. I do think that she's very anti-Jeremiah though right now.
Which, yes, and this is where Alondria, Jeremiah, and Austin have the conversation, which just it confused me because it's not three people I think we've ever seen talk together in
It
the
was
whole
an
series.
interesting grouping, and I did appreciate actually Alandria going over and getting the other side of the story, because I do feel like she has been one of the people who will comfort Huda the most. And
Yes.
I think like going over as her friend, even and getting like the side of the story from Jeremiah can be helpful when she's talking to Huda later and being like, well, here's how Jeremiah saw it from the
Yes.
conversation.
100%. And she goes, how did it get bad that fast? And Jeremiah says, I don't blow up on her the way she blows up on me. She brings up kids and marriage. And Alondri's like, well, you have to remember, like, Huda is a package deal. She has a kid. It's not just her. And Austin goes, Huda has a kid? Like, I swear to God, that's exactly how he said it. It looked so funny.
It was so funny to watch to be like, you're
Don't
never
tell
allowed to repeat that
anyone.
to anybody. Even though most of the villa knows at this point.
Don't worry. Austin's forgetting that in 3 seconds.
It's literally like just Jalen that doesn't know. Like the only person here who's not allowed to know.
No, Pepe doesn't know.
Look, two people.
Does Hannah know?
Hannah knows. She brings it up at one point, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, so
It's hard to keep track.
Jalen's gone. It's just Pepe.
Pepe's the only one who doesn't know.
Taylor?
Crazy.
Maybe we don't know. Not clear.
Taylor may or may not know. We don't get to see Taylor on this show, so we wouldn't know anything about him. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. And then the last thing that I think we would have to bring up is, I guess there's two more. We have to talk about Nick and Sierra and Ace and Shelly.
Well, how could you forget Nick and Sierra's really impactful conversation of the week of, does Nick believe in evolution?
Like, what do you mean? Do you believe in evolution?
I feel like often we will get really funny moments of people saying something really dumb and they go super viral. And I think this was maybe an attempt to try to force that by showing it this week. In the do you believe in evolution? Sometimes I think monkeys are smarter than me. I agree. I was really obsessed with hippos. Like, I don't know. It was like a fun, cute scene because otherwise we're getting literally nothing from Nick and Sierra. I think that they are the strongest couple that I could be invested in, but am getting nothing from as we
don't know anything about them except one of the nights when they were getting ready, Sierra goes like, I want to kiss Nick. Like, we've been kissing, but I want like tongue in there.
Literally, that's all we got. And Nick is fine. I like Sierra. So I'm like, can we show a little more of them, please?
Like, just the fact that we got one interaction between the two in these 3 episodes and it was this. Like, can we please have one real conversation?
These are two pretty opinionated people in the villa. I feel like they're definitely discussing what's going on. Like, let them be the narrators. Like, show me their
Yes.
conversations.
Give me their perspective on like Huda and Jeremiah, like fully.
Yep.
Like have them like in a hammock or whatever talking shit. I love that. So that is a bit disappointing. Ace and Shelly also hang out in Soul Ties, which I did forget that Ace has been sleeping in Soul Ties. So I guess that makes sense. Like what Jeremiah's gonna go cuddle with Ace. They hate each other.
Yeah. Yeah. There's plenty of day beds that he could be sleeping in.
True.
Does Jeremiah know that he and Ace hate each other?
That's a good point. Only Ace knows that actually. So you make a very fair point. Ace wants to get another tattoo, but on his stomach. And Shelly says, "Oh, get my face."
Which, I mean, at a certain point, Ace has like 13 faces on him. What's one more?
I mean, Shelly has a great face. Yeah, tattoo her face.
I
Sure.
know.
He says if we got married, I would get my wife's face. And Shelly's like, "Oh, you just have to ask."
Which he just has to ask, and yet he hasn't even asked you to couple up at this point.
Insane behavior.
I gotta say, as much as I think they do have chemistry and I enjoy the individual scenes, I was really at the point where it was like, if Ace and Shelly don't couple up literally today, I will never be able to care about them again.
Yep. I agree. I agree completely.
Why are we
It's
3
just
weeks
like,
in?
why did he pick Amaya when he clearly hates her?
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
I appreciate the shit stirring that Ace does, that he is making storylines, but I'm sorry, I gotta have something to be invested in, or I'm out.
Yeah, like sure, make up storylines, produce the show down, but you have to have a plot line before you can produce a show. I'm sorry,
Exactly.
it's ridiculous. But Ariana comes in for the recoupling. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion. I didn't love the dress she was wearing. Because I just find it really odd when dresses have a really big circle cutout in both the front and back. Like I just feel like it's a strange line for a dress. Like it's not like she looked bad in it. I just don't like that cut of dresses.
Okay. I
know people are dying for my fashion opinions. The color was really good on her. The neckline looks really good on her. The shape of the dress is good. I just wish that it had either had a back or front.
I thought it was better than both Paige's dress in the green suede and Ariana's red and black look from earlier in the week. So for me, this was a win.
Yeah, Paige's look was, who made that? Seriously.
It could be better at a different venue.
It
Maybe.
could be better if it was like a top and a skirt that could be worn separately from each other, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't actually matter that much. This is where they are doing a recoupling, but it is different because there's a door for every woman with their name on it, and they are going to step through the door and stand on the other side. Everyone will text the one man who will be allowed to open their door, who it will work for. And then the men go one by one to try the door of their choice. And any girl who remains behind a closed door and any boy who does not open a door will be single and vulnerable.
What did you think of this method?
It was visually interesting, but it was a little strange. I liked Ian made a voiceover of like, it's the live action Monsters Inc. made me laugh.
I don't need any more live action movies, but if it's starring the cast of Love Island, I will consider.
Yes. I mean, agreed. I don't want an actual live action Monsters Inc., but I like them having the doors as if it were Monsters Inc.
I think this is cute. I think it's visual. I think that I like that they're mixing it up, particularly when we have an equal number of men and women in the villa. But I think that it took out a lot of suspense when it was like, all right, Jalen, you're going to go first. It's like, okay, well, they're definitely going to say no because Taylor still has to go. So we know how this is going to go. There was no suspense in pretty much any of these picks for me. It really came down to which of Jalen and Taylor was going to go first. And then whose door was Jeremiah going to pick? Because otherwise, I think Nick and Sierra, cute, totally fine. Pepe and Hannah, cute, no other options. Austin and Amaya, not entire. It would have been more shocking if they didn't edit the episodes to be the most clear thing in the whole world.
Agree. What I thought was wild is that he successfully goes to Amaya's door and Shelly's like, oh my God, I didn't even know that they were talking. Like, I wish I knew they were talking. Mind you, she chose Ace. So why do you care?
I'm like, did they maybe ask Shelly, like, how did you feel in this moment when this happened? Like, I don't know, give them the soundbite. But
true.
I don't know how you didn't know they were talking when Amaya's like, woohoo, pick me up like we're married. The entire villa is staring up at them like, what's going on?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Ace and Shelly. Then Jalen tries Alondria's door, but it doesn't work. Taylor tries and it works. And then Jeremiah walks like he's gonna go to Huda's door and then like switches paths and opens Iris's door.
Which I'm like, Jeremiah, you're not beating the allegations with moves like these. Like, well, she can't even see the fake out. I don't know if it's for TV, if it's for the other Islanders, because I think it was a little extra.
It was a little extra. When he was walking towards Huda's door, I was like, if he picks Huda right now, there's no hope for him. And like, whatever, like you've made your bed now and I won't really care about it moving forward.
Is it bad that I kind of wanted them to make up before Casa Amor?
They still might.
It's possible. I think it might have been too fast for it to feel worth it, but I was ultimately kind of wanting them to get back together before Casa Amor. Kind of, also then very worried for Huda in that situation.
Yes.
But also really going to be mad if we did lose Huda this early and especially before Casa Amor.
Yes, I think the only way I would have accepted Huda leaving is if it was her choice of like, this is not working for me. I got to go home. And then, of course, I would respect that and be happy that she's making whatever choice is best for her. If she had been removed, I would have been upset. She had her door was set to unlock for Jeremiah. And she's like, Jeremiah told me that Iris isn't his type, that he's not attracted to her, and he didn't want to sleep in the bed with her. And then he chose her. So why did he choose her and not me? Like, this was another chance for you to prove yourself that you failed. Like, you're a dick. And Jeremiah says, I didn't pick you because it's too toxic.
And look, speak on it, Huda. Like, she's not wrong.
Yes.
Here's the thing. They're both right. It is too toxic. He shouldn't be ending the cycle. He should not continue this toxic relationship. But he's been like, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to do amazing. And then messes up at every single opportunity. So they're both right. Like, you had the opportunity to prove it to her, make this declaration, but he goes with the spot where he thinks it's potentially a little safer or like doesn't want to make like the declaration for Huda. I just think it's weird. Like, why is he talking so much crap about whoever he's not with in that moment and then deciding on like being nice to them when he is to their face?
Well, because he's not an innocent victim.
No.
He is also part of a toxic cycle.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So you know what? I was happy that Huda called it out because I think that Iris also deserves to know that that's how he's talking about her, because I would hate to see just in how I don't like that Alandria does not currently know that Taylor has talked about how there's no sexual chemistry for Jeremiah to say blatantly that Iris is not his type is now out in the open. And now if Iris chooses to move forward with it, totally their call. I think that you can continue a whatever it is, relationship, whatever, on Love Island, while not explicitly being each other's type on paper, but it doesn't look awesome.
It's tough when you're not each other, like they're not your type on paper and you've been telling people that. I feel like that's where it's like hard to overcome, but we'll have to see what happens. Huda says, enjoy your safe option. And Austin literally laughs out loud and goes, I'm glad Jeremiah picked this safe option.
I mean, from his perspective and a lot of people's perspective, there's been a lot of talk about how, oh my God, they are making the villa miserable to live in. They are
Yep.
ruining our experiences, which I don't know. Do I care? But they are complaining about how it is too much to live with. They don't want to deal with this. And so I'm not entirely shocked that Austin is over it. And in fact, was shocked that not more people were completely over it.
I agree. Ariana says that one of Huda and Jalen will be going home tonight. The Islanders will decide who goes home, and they're doing the thing where Jalen and Huda stand there, and the people who vote for them to stay, stand behind them. And you walk up as a couple, but you vote individually. And the people who voted for Jalen to stay were Nick, Austin, Jeremiah, and Pepe. And the people who voted for Huda were Sierra, Amaya, Shelly, Ace, Iris, Alondria, Taylor, and Hannah. And Huda says thank you to Ace, and he like basically jumps out of her reach.
I don't know what that was. He says, "Oh hell no!" Like, did you only do it because Shelly told you had to? And then I guess who's the puppet master now? But I am curious what that was. Did he just not want to do it? Like, I don't know. That was weird.
So my suspicion, because like he just stood up and tried to vote out Huda literally a day and a half ago, right? Like to her face, called it bullshit how she treats the game, like all of that. I think Ace has now had time to think and to think about how, well, America voted to break up Huda and Jeremiah. America sees a problem there. America doesn't like them.
Ooh.
When America is focused on not liking Huda and Jeremiah, America will not be turning on me. America will maybe like me more because they are focused on disliking Huda and Jeremiah, and I'm their biggest hater in the edit. I think it's a bit a gameplay.
You know, one of the most surefire ways to get the audience on your side is to talk about how much you hate the audience's least favorite. So I don't know if Ace is thinking along those lines, but if he is, it's kind of evilly genius.
Yes. And I also love like now, like we got a lot of the fallout of the last, like the recoupling with America's vote. We got a lot of crash out. We got a lot of everything. But it took up to this recoupling for Jeremiah to fully say, like, I'm done. I'm picking someone else. So now Huda has also witnessed Jeremiah pick someone else, not just be assigned someone else. Jeremiah picked it. And now we get to see the full consequences of that, which I think will be entertaining television.
I agree. I think it's interesting. Do you believe he is fully done?
No.
Me neither.
I don't think Huda is fully done either.
Not at all.
Like they very much could reconcile before Cosm War.
I don't think this was on her list of non-negotiables at all. I think that
she doesn't have a list.
We are going right back to another conversation. I think maybe what would kind of be good is like a day off. Maybe we cool down. I don't know if these two are capable of a day off though.
Send Jeremiah and Iris to another beach.
Maybe just for the day, but I think that might make things worse. I don't know if that's going to be the situation that's really going to cool Huda off, Kirsten.
Well, what situation is cooling Huda off?
Nothing. So you know what? And I'm also going to say with the people that are concerned there for Huda, and her staying in the villa, I feel like if she does end up going all the way, then the conversation of people will be spread out over multiple people, whereas she leaves by herself. All of the conversation and all of the media attention is going to be focused on her, which I think might be a little more difficult. So counterintuitively, I don't know what's best.
I think like best case would be she chose to leave on her own terms.
Maybe.
But I also don't know. But like the internet is pissed tonight that Huda was not voted out. So I think that Ace's gameplay perhaps could have backfired a little bit because I think people will be mad that he changed his vote. Like that's a switch up. And people just want to see Huda go home. So I hope that she can just have a day hanging with her girls, enjoying the villa, and not say the word Jeremiah or bitch one time. That would be my ideal next day for Huda.
Are you pissed that Huda did not go home?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of don't know what we're watching if Huda's not here.
What was Jalen gonna give us if he stayed? None of the other women are remotely interested in him. He's not forward enough where I think like a new bombshell could come in and it would be like a real entertaining thing. Huda and Jeremiah have been a core part of the show to this point through 2.5 weeks. And I don't feel we've had a satisfying conclusion to that. If she had stood up and said, "This isn't working for me, I need to go home to take care of myself," I would not have been pissed at that either. I
Sure.
don't want her to be a hostage by any means. Um, but I think it would have been very boring for her to leave and Jalen to stay.
I don't know if I'm scared or if I want it for her where they have that America, the challenge where it's like, here's what the audience has been saying about you. Because on
Oh,
some degree, I don't want her to know. And on the other degree, I want her to have a heads up before she comes out.
I don't know what's better. I really
Yeah.
don't. Like, she's in for a tough time. The fan base is being really brutal. And once again, I'd like to reiterate the WeKnowLoveIsland.com official stance of it's fine to have an opinion on the house guests and to analyze the show and talk about it. Don't send hate specifically to people and don't contact the people in their real life. Like the father of her child had to make a statement of like, I don't watch this show, but like she's a human being. Leave
Yep.
her alone.
Yep. And if you're running their accounts, like turn off the comments, mute certain words, do all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Get that ready for her. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
tough,
Yep.
tough spot.
Well, I
But
will
that's
say.
it.
Preview does show conversations going on where Sierra has, I believe Sierra leads it with like, I'm sorry, I love her, but I can't save her a third time if she's not going to change up her behavior. So I do think that there will be conversations with Huda of we got to do something about this. He has chosen someone else. Let's figure
Mhm.
it out rather than feeding into the you can't do any wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone else will be feeding into Huda's delusion
We'll
moving
see.
forward. But we'll see.
That we will.
And that's it. That's the first half of the week for Love Island USA. I don't think we missed anything, but do you think we missed anything?
No, I think we hit lots and lots and lots of important things. So I am glad that we got to cover it in such depth. I'm glad we had the whole story rather than
Yeah.
covering this in pieces. So yeah.
Yeah, I would not have had fully formed opinions if we had talked. I still don't even know if they're my opinions are like heavy, fully formed, but it's nice to have the
My
chance to really talk it through.
opinions are subject to change the moment they leave my mouth. So never take them for full weight.
So true. So true. I was so distracted by the Hood and Jeremiah. I couldn't even tell who else was talking to each other in this batch of episodes. Like
Yep.
embarrassing. But it's just they're the moment. Like, what would we do if Huda went home tonight?
It'd be tough and it would be an adjustment, but we will get through. We're going to
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of this season, regardless of who's there. I feel like this has been a very, very opposite season of last season, but still very engaging.
Yeah, I have found it to be incredibly electric so far. I don't think it's better than last season by any means. Last season was so special, but like we've been through much worse. And
I,
anyone who's been listening to the Love Island pods over time knows that I will straight up say it if I think the season is
I
bad.
think a lot of people would say that this is an actively very good season. It just depends on what you like. So, where I often enjoy like friendship heavy seasons, not necessarily between the men and the women, but like, PPG or a bromance or something like that. And we're not really getting that. So, I am missing a little bit of that or like one couple to root for, but I still do find everything that's happening very engaging. And
Yeah,
I will say it's a good season.
yes, I agree. And I think it's just I think sometimes people can confuse not liking the characters with not liking the show. And that's fair if that's how you feel. If you really need to like really like all the people to like it, then okay, this might not be for you. But I like drama. I like mess. I like when things are happening. And even though like there haven't been that many events that have happened, the drama has been there and been real, and that keeps me engaged. So I'm loving it. I feel positive about the season moving forward, and I'm really excited to see what happens next.
Same.
But that's it. It was a bit of a longer recap this time, which I think people will be happy about because they wanted an emergency podcast. So
I think it was to be expected.
what could we have cut? Nothing.
No.
But Scally, if people want to hear even more from you after listening to our 2-hour recap, where can they find you?
Well, if you want to keep keeping up, I would say, first of all, go ahead and make sure you left that 5-star review so we can continue to keep up on future weeks of this pod over on the We Know Love Island feed. And then if we're doing anything else, I am over on the Free Agents podcast with Matt Ligori talking about the challenge, the new Traders cast, the new House of Villains cast, many things going over on the Free Agents pod. Anything else I'm doing is on Twitter at Brian_Scally, on Blue Sky at Brian Scally, and on Twitch at bscally.
Amazing. And if you want to hear more from me, you can hear myself and Sasha Joseph every week on Friday, dropping a new Mess Magnets episode, talking pop culture, celebrity gossip, trending topics at messmagnets.com. And you can follow me pretty much everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitch, all of it at Kirsten Said What. And you can find everything to do with the Love Island recap at weknowloveisland.com. We are at like 89 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts, and I would love if we could make it to oh my god, we're up to 91. We already got 2 more while we were recording.
Let's
We're
hit
up to
100 this week.
91. Yeah, let's hit 100 by the time we record on Friday. So if you have an Apple product, have an Apple account, and can log into just Apple Podcasts on your browser, you don't even need an iPhone to do that. Leave a 5-star rating and review on the We Know Love Island feed. It means the world to us. Seeing all these 5-star reviews come in is a joy. Shout out to Erin Emily, who said, love it first listen. I've only listened to the season 7 episodes so far, but after just those few, I'm already dying for the next one.
Ooh.
Kirsten and Scally are hilarious and helpful guides through the crazy world of Love Island, and I'm thrilled to be on this weird water slide with them. P.S. It's Sunday the 15th as I write this now. I'd pay real money for an emergency pod about this recoupling. So shout out to Erin Emily. Also, we're on the RHAP YouTube, youtube.com/@RHAP. You can see our beautiful faces while we talk about the show. I'm wearing my leopard outfit today because it's so weird how it's pronounced leopard, but there's Leo and pard in the word. And we'll be back on Friday after the next 2 Love Island USA episodes to break it all down. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you then. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.